Well, welcome to another video cast for the Radiation Research meeting in 2014 in Las Vegas, and I'm very pleased to talk to Greg Nelson. Welcome, Greg.
Thank you.
And Greg, well, for people who knows radiation biology, will know Greg for many things, and one of the things that is very well known for in the young generation is his involvement in the NASA Summer School, where they cover a very wide background about how radiation biology works in the context of space radiation biology. And following this, our society has just created a new initiative called the K-12 workshop program, and I wanted to ask you why and what is it exactly?
What is it? Okay, well, each year the society president has an initiative or more than one that he or she can start, and Frank Cucinato decided that this is an opportune moment to take what we do at, let's say, the SIT level and to move down to the lower levels of education and to reach out to the community at large through the high school teacher population, because that serves as a big amplifier for disseminating material to the community at large. And because for those of us with gray hair who have to be replaced at some point in time, we need to recruit younger people into the society. So this is a nice opportunity to try to reach out to high school teachers. So Frank and I both talked about, we talked to a variety of high school teachers in our area, and it was kind of lucky circumstance that the California State Science Teachers Association was having a meeting shortly after they began our conversation. And I attended that meeting and had a chance to talk to their executive board, and they pointed out that the big issue for working science teachers right now is something called the Next Generation Science Standard. And as a result of a National Academy of Sciences study back in 2011, which identified a framework of ideas, other people got involved and decided that rather than having a national series of lesson plans dictated from above, that a more appropriate way to help the science teaching community was to establish performance standards such that they can develop their own curriculum materials and adjust them on a local level to what the performance standards would be. So that's called the Next Generation Science Standards, or NGSS, and we were asked to provide a series of information, some themes that link the multidisciplinary nature of our society into kind of a nice story, but which could map onto the performance standards that they needed in the Next Generation Science Standards. Because when they go back to their districts and talk to their principals and supervisors, they have to be able to show that their lesson plans map onto the specific kind of chapter and verse in the NGSS. So that's the approach we took. We didn't develop lesson plans and here's how to teach this topic. It's like, no, here's topics, here's the interesting way in which physics, biology, chemistry, epidemiology, medicine all flow together, and how different engineering and science practices build off of the knowledge base and affect society in general. So, some of the questions we pose, or some of the lecture titles were, should I be afraid of radiation? We all know that that's an emotional topic. You say the word radiation, and some people are immediately taken aback by the concept, and other people realize that it's a tool, you can control it, and so forth. And so we wanted to present information at a variety of levels in a form that they could use, and then provide linkage to references that could be available online or from other sources. And we've done so. And the immediate reaction we got back was very good. So we seemed to have guessed properly the first time through.
Okay. So how many people joined the event, and how did you recruit those people? How were they aware of this initiative?
Okay, so we asked the local school districts and the California and the Nevada Science Teacher Association to kind of publish, what we were doing. We were, I would say, modestly successful about that. Our concept was to have people come up here in early September. Guess what? High school teachers have just started their school year, so there was a little bit of a recruitment problem getting people to come. But then Dr. Cucinato ran into a fellow by the name of Ted Hartwell here at the Desert Research Institute in Las Vegas. And the Desert Research Institute is part of the Nevada higher education system. It's a research institute. It does environmental and other kinds of physics and biology research. But it turns out that it also cooperates with the Department of Energy and the people who run I think it's called the Nevada Nuclear Security Site now. It used to be called the old Nevada Test Site. And they developed a program called the Community Environmental Monitoring Program. And so there are 24 sites around the Nevada Test Site at which community members, many of them high school science teachers, so the important link is here, and they go out and they do sampling of the environment for old fallout that may have been mobilized by the weather and so forth, and they're interested in communicating the hazards back out to the community. And so many of these people had a dual role, and then of course people know people who know people and so forth. So we were able to spread the word, I'd say a lot by word of mouth. So
almost a grassroots movement.
More or less, yeah. I think next year we need to,
That's what I was going to ask you. Next year is going to be a bit more difficult because you're not going to have that context location that is poised for attracting people.
That's right. Well, we hope that wrestling alligators or whatnot in Western Florida will be an inducement. But one of the things...
No radioactive plants in Florida?
As far as I know, maybe pythons, but no plants, right? So one of the things we're going to try this next time around, Gail Wolashak wanted us to continue in this effort, and we had a chance to hook up with the Health Physics Society a little bit. Now it turns out that they've had an ongoing outreach program for many, many years. One of the interesting things they have on their website, for example, is the Ask the Expert site, where they've kind of collated about 1,200 questions from the lay public, and have had professional scientists answer the questions. They post the question and answers, and they cover everything you can think of, from dose fractionation, to what's an atom and everything in between. So it makes for a very nice resource for teachers to just be able to go out and download without worrying about all the intellectual property issues. You can't charge them for anything, but they can use pretty much everything for educational purposes. So we've linked up with those folks, and we hope that their Florida chapter will be able to join us in some capacity when we go down to Florida next fall.
Excellent. And did you put in any kind of metrics to see how successful your program was? Did you do some survey or something?
We sent out a survey about 15 minutes ago, as it turns out. So we'll have to wait back for the formal feedback. But we did ask the teachers to join the society members for lunch during the program, and we got a lot of nice feedback about what we were doing. Very definitely the need to do this. I think we identified, I'd say that in our 10 lectures that we put together, based on our own opinion about what people would need, I'd say that, about 7 or 8 out of 10 of those were felt to be very useful, and we'll probably continue to do that. So we'll refine that when we get some more feedback, but so far so good.
So another thing that comes to mind is maybe because those teachers may go back to their students and teach them, even though they're able to handle complex material, it will be a bit more difficult for them to convey the information to the children. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking, did you do any kind of hands-on lab? Like the classic example is you take a banana and you use a Geiger counter and you show that everything is radioactive, and the banana is quite radioactive. So that people realize that we are in a radioactive world.
Right.
Did you do any kind of hands-on experiments?
We didn't do that this time because the concept was to provide information so that they can go out and develop a curriculum. But we didn't ignore that possibility. So Lynn Harrison from LSU in Shreveport has had some high school teachers coming through her laboratory and has used a couple of interesting examples to show a cell model, various marbles and egg cups, and simple materials and things that could show ionization and the propagation of ionization from, let's say, the incoming tennis ball to the marbles that gone out and interact with parts of the cell and things like that. And she's found that to be quite successful. And then Linda Goodhead, who is the chair of the science department at the Headington School in Oxford, England, and was here with Dudley, of course, gave a little bit of a presentation on what's been successful in her girls' prep school kind of environment for teaching radioactivity and some associated comments. So we tried to mix it up a little bit, and we'll see what the feedback says.
Okay.
But I think that we need to remember that the teachers are the teaching professionals. They know how to present information to the young people at their level. We were cautioned, don't go too young yet when you're getting started, because then you get into developmental issues with learning and children and things like that. So start in high school, work your way down after you've got something that seems to be working.
I see. Okay. Well, it sounds like a great initiative.
Yeah, we're very pleased with for a kickoff version of the program. It sounds good.
And are you planning to expand it to more than one day, or you think one day is a good format?
I think for funding constraints and things like that, we're looking at one day. I don't know when we will schedule it for the next meeting. We might try and do it in parallel with the SIT session again, because you can't ask people to keep coming too many days in advance.
Oh, that was actually a question that comes up from this. So the SIT have those great awards for travel. Did you provide any kind of support for those individuals?
We did. Now the idea was that the people in Southern Nevada, within maybe 1 to 2 hours could drive, to the meeting here at Red Rock. But that if people from much farther away needed some travel support, that we would give them some limited travel support. I think we were able to provide up to $400, which is about 2 nights in the hotel.
Excellent.
And we had one teacher from as far away as Louisiana. We had a number from California, but most of them were Nevada and Southern Utah.
Excellent. Well, the society did a good job, and hopefully it will help alleviate at least one thing, the fear of radiation.
Absolutely. I think that's a big deal, and yes, that's what we want to do.
Thank you, Greg, for your time. And this is another podcast.
Always fun talking to you.
Same.
Okay, thank you all.